What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the Unashamed Sportscast. Yes, sir. It's your boy K Jeff and my man's
just Antoine, man. Just Antoine.
Just Antoine.
I tried to and Tweezy. I can't.
Hey Swizzle,
man.
Swizzle.
Hey, whatever. No.
Just Antoine today.
Yeah,
all right, just Antoine. You heard it, man.
Right.
Keep
it simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Simple as simple does, man. I appreciate it. We're back today. We have some more banging information for you guys. Another great episode on the way. Today we're going to cover the U.S. Open men's and women's tournament, as well as we're going to have some in-depth insight into NFL preseason and what's to come as we
upcoming season
football this week.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive right into it. U.S. Open.
Yeah, it's over for me.
It's over.
It's over before it started.
Come on, man.
I mean, I think that the Serena effect. You know, I think that her not being there, Venus not being there, and then Osaka would have been the big story. And in a way, it's still a story because of some of the stuff that she's been going through. And now, my question is some of the mental hurdles and stuff affecting her performance? Because she was just upset. So is it directly related to some of those challenges? Maybe her focus isn't there. I mean, I don't know. Or is it that some of these up and coming players? We definitely got to give credit to the players, but
absolutely,
whether or not some of the mental health or just all of the attention that she has gotten outside of tennis, I guess it's in tennis, but outside of tennis, it's starting to affect her play because she was definitely on the rise and
dominating.
Yeah,
Serena couldn't beat her.
Yeah,
the last couple of tournaments.
So now that she's out and Serena, I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. That's a good point you make, Antoine. I think just Antoine. I think it's definitely a different era of tennis. I think. Serena Williams, in my opinion, there is no comparison, men's or women's, in my opinion, to Serena. Like, Serena's the GOAT. And I really would like to see her get another major title. Because I believe she's tied. Is she tied or she?
I think she needs another one. Yeah, I think she needs another one.
To be the all-time leader in Grand Slam finals. But for me, like, tennis has always been the game for me where I've grown the last decade of looking forward to Serena dominating on the court. And so I wouldn't say it's over for me because there are still some very peculiar young tennis players out, both men's and women's. Mm-hmm. But it's different. Like I said, you have those big name players. You have the Serena Williams, the Naomi Osakas of the world. But then there are a lot of up and coming younger tennis players that I think like the Russian young lady, I can't remember her name. Sorry, mm-hmm. who won recently. I think she's 18 years old. As they're going into day 4, round 4, the quarterfinals, I think it's going to be interesting to see like if it's going to be a situation where every tournament is someone different winning, mm-hmm. which I think for the sport makes it a little bit better because like. It's not as dominated by one person, but I mean, for a fan, it's kind of like boring.
Yeah,
you don't really get a chance to really know, like the great players because like every tournament there's a new player winning. So, as far as Osaka, I would agree with you and say like I think the scrutiny with her mental health stuff when it first came out definitely has like created more like. I guess awareness of mental health, but also it's created more like buzz around her, and that was like to me like that was the total opposite of what she wanted. Like she came out and said like I need a break.
That's what she didn't want.
She got more like buzz, people coming out trying to support her, and it was maybe too much support.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but she's definitely. I feel like something's off. Like I watched her play her loss when she lost to the Russian.
Yeah.
And she did something looked off. Like she didn't look quite as dominant.
It's focused, I think.
As focused.
So.
I would agree. So I don't know. I hope she can get back on track. For the sport's sake, but I also want to see Serena, come out and break that record because she's been dominant for so long. So.
Yeah. See, my take on like tennis, 'cause I've actually watched tennis for a while. is that I don't really like parity. Like I don't like there to be a different winner every because I don't think it's been like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like Serena, like I like the dominance to an extent because then you get to like every tournament you're really looking to see, is she gonna win? Like it's Serena versus the field.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is a little bit different with men's because it was like Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, like so. There was a little bit of parity there, but it was still like 2 or 3 dominant, tennis players who, and what was interesting there was a lot of it depended on, the surface, whether or not it was the U.S. Open or Wimbledon or whatever. It gave one of the different different athletes an advantage.
Yeah.
So it was always interesting to watch them, but even them, each of them kind of dominated. There was somewhat parity, but they still were like the dominant 3. Let's just say it would be 2, and then there would be an upcoming one, then it'd be 3. Serena's been in a class by herself for years, and then I guess we kind of thought, Sloane beat her one year, and we were like, Sloane Stephens gonna overtake her, but that didn't really happen. And then Osaka came and beat her, and I think most people were like, now it's the changing of the guards. So, for sure. Osaka is now dealing with whatever she's dealing with, and if we really take a step back and look at it, tennis, it actually comes back to Serena. Like that kind of highlights her dominance for as long as she did, because anything can happen, whether or not it's a physical injury or a mental hurdle that you have to get over that may prevent you from being that dominant figure. So that, to me, if you really look at it, it can also highlight Serena's career. It's unfortunate that all these people are out, but it's still the U.S. Open. It'll be exciting when we get to the finals.
Not as exciting, but as exciting. Exciting nonetheless. Okay. All right. So moving on, the NFL is upon us. We are days away from the kickoff. Cowboys, Bucks start off the 2021 NFL season. I'm stoked. I'm excited, man. Football's in the air. It's a beautiful thing. Where do you stand with who you think is going to come out of each conference, and who might surprise some folks this year? Let's start in the AFC.
We can kind of go through it. But what's interesting, the irony is that one of the teams that's probably going to win the first game this season is probably going to win the last game this season.
Okay.
But we'll
remember there's 17 games this season. At the season, so that impact as well might be something to watch. I hope they can finish the year out, man, with COVID and everything going on. I hope they can, finish the year out and everyone's, healthy and safe.
I was football, NFL starting, so obviously this weekend, Saturday, there was a lot of college football games. I was amazed by the crowds. Like the stadiums were packed. They were packed, and there was no mask. There was no mask.
You see Lane Stadium?
Yes. Like that. I mean, it was. Man.
But okay, so let's pause NFL.
Okay.
So like college football to me has always been the hype of college football. Like the game, the play, okay, but like everything that surrounds college football to me is more exciting. It's just electrifying, and we missed that last year. Like fans running the stands, and then so like to see for an example, like that Lane Stadium just took capacity. I think they said like 60,000 people or something like that. No mask.
No mask.
But I think that for the competition part of the game, I think that played a part in Tech's, winning, or upset of North Carolina. So now that we transitioned to the NFL, fans are again back in the stands. So might we see some teams who did better last year not have that same success this year that fans are back in the stands?
Maybe. But But these are professionals, like
Okay.
NFL. So I guess I would hold them to a standard where they're the best of the best.
Okay.
You playing football, you gotta have an ego.
Yeah.
Somewhat of ego. So it doesn't matter who's in the stands. When you're lining up across from somebody, you're trying to prove that you're better than that person.
That's true.
So it may have a slight effect to some teams, but I don't think. I think the teams that are positioned to win and we'll get to this, but part of the reason why I think some of the teams that I believe are going to win is because of their mental strength and leadership that they have on their team. So I don't think that the crowd being there or not being there will make that big of a difference. But maybe some of the younger teams.
Okay. All right. I disagree, but I think we'll see.
Okay.
I think those home fields, man, you look at some of those places are more impactful than it seemed, especially in those moments. So we'll see. Interested to see. But let's go do each division and talk about who we feel are favorites to come out of the divisions, and then we'll make a bold prediction for who our conference champs are going to be heading into this new year.
Okay, so let's start right at the top with AFC East. To me, it's a no-brainer. Buffalo. I think that they have clearly the best team in the division.
Mm-hmm.
The division that has been dominated by the Patriots, for the last 2 decades, and I think that they're kind of rebuilding with Mac under center now. I think Miami having Tua is still on the fence. Like they still want to kind of see what he's able to do. The Jets are the Jets, so we don't really need to spend too much time on the Jets.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Bills on both sides of the ball are the best in that in that division.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Bills for the AFC East.
Okay, I wouldn't disagree, man. I think that division is definitely up and coming. I feel like because with Miami, you never know. Like Miami will lose 3 straight and then win 7 straight, and have you questioning are they a real contender? Brian Flores, the head coach, I think has done a tremendous job, upbuilding the culture in Miami, and so it was interesting to hear that they were in the conversations in the front runners to trade for Deshaun Watson. I mean, I think that shows either how little they really think that Tua can develop into their franchise guy, or just how big they are on Deshaun. You can look at that either way, but I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. But I agree with you. I wouldn't just debate that Buffalo are going to be the favorites with Josh Allen transcending and Stephon Diggs. That 1-2 combination. And they've got a good running game and defense, so I'd agree that Buffalo would win that division.
Okay, there goes a good. What about the North? What do you AFC North?
A
little tougher.
A little tougher in that, I mean, all right, so you've got Lamar Jackson, you've got Baltimore, and you like to think that they're going to be, as competitive as anybody. I mean, at their best, they're Super Bowl contenders.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have moments where, they kind of lack that. And that's so I talked about the fans. I think like those fans in Baltimore would definitely help to electrify, because Lamar's an electrifying athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So he's that guy who like feeds off the crowd energy and like shows up in big moments. I don't think he gets enough credit for like showing up in big moments. I think he's always criticized or scrutinized for not being able to get over the hump that is to get to the Super Bowl. But I mean, Patty Mahomes, we'll talk about in a second, is also in that conference. So I'm gonna say Baltimore will win that division, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pittsburgh gives them a run for their money and makes some noise in that division. But I'm gonna say that like you said, the Jets are the Jets, the Browns are the Browns. As much hope as you want to have for the Browns, they're the Browns, and so I don't expect them to win a division. Maybe in the wild card conversation, but like I said, I'm gonna stick with Baltimore to be when it's all said and done to win that division.
So I disagree.
Okay.
So a couple things. Pittsburgh, I feel like Roethlisberger is on his way out. I think this may be the year that Pittsburgh just, kind of bottoms out.
Dismantles.
Well, Cincinnati is Cincinnati. Like, so if you want to compare anybody to the Jets, I don't think it's Cleveland. Historically it could be either or, but I think that last year what we saw Cleveland, what the Browns did, after Odell went down. I think they're going to build on that, and I think that as big of a star as Odell is, I think that he was humbled a little bit to see how well they were able to play without him and the chemistry. So I do think that he's going to come back and add value to their team. And on the opposite side, like their defense is solid to me. So I think it's going to be a 2-horse race between Cleveland and Baltimore. But like you said, I don't think that Lamar gets enough credit for what he does because he's been an MVP. They're perennial playoff team now.
Yeah, for sure.
Lamar only loses to the Chiefs. Like, I mean, he has losses to other teams, but if Mahomes isn't in his way, we could be talking about Lamar as having several Super Bowl. Yeah, he's won MVP, but I mean several Super Bowl appearances. So I think that, and we'll get to Mahomes and the Chiefs later. I think outside of them, that Baltimore team led by Lamar Jackson is, maybe second to them in the AFC. So I think it's a 2-horse race, but I do agree with you actually that I do think Baltimore will win that division. But I think Cleveland will be right at their heels. I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh.
I was going to say, what are you disagreeing with me on?
I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh. I think, because you said Cleveland is Cleveland. I actually think Cleveland is going to be a playoff team, wild card team.
That's what I said. I said I thought they were going to be maybe in the wild card.
But you kind of dismissed them a little bit. I think that they're going to be a stronger team in the North. So I wouldn't be surprised if they won it. But I do think that the Ravens will.
Okay. Same page.
And then in the South I think is interesting. I think it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee. I think that Houston is going through. They have this Deshaun Watson situation looming over their heads.
It's a mess.
Jacksonville, young quarterback. I'm sure he'll have a decent season, but my expectations for them are, kind of limited. The Colts with Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is a bum. Well, not a bum. I don't want to say he's a bum. You know how we've talked in the past about players that come from smaller schools and stuff like that. I do think that Carson Wentz showed some signs one season, and he's been hurt. I just don't think that he's the guy. And with Tennessee, I just think that Henry and I just think that I think that they showed enough last year that they're going to be able to continue and to win that division.
No debate there. I'd say Tennessee for sure. Is going to win that division. Yeah, Derrick Henry stays healthy and he's a man amongst boys playing out there, and I would agree. Tennessee.
And what's the name's the receiver that went to their team now?
Julio.
So don't underestimate how that opens up things for Derrick even more.
I agree.
So I think Tannehill can just be a game manager and not lose it, and they'll be good.
Absolutely.
All right, so this one's kind of easy, but AFC West, who do you have coming out of it?
We can move on to the NFC. I don't think anybody's going against the Chiefs in the West, man. I'm going to say the Chiefs are going to easily win the West, but I'm going to also say that I think that it won't be as close. So I say it's going to be easy, but I think that I like the Chargers, man. Like Justin Herbert, I think he surprised a lot of people last year in his rookie season. A lot of people didn't think he was going to be as good as he was. Can we say the Raiders are going to be the Raiders?
Yeah,
I mean,
can say the Raiders.
I feel like expectations are always so high with them, but they're similar to Cowboys fans in that they just think every year, the new stadium looks magnificent, but I don't think they're going to win anything. And Denver is obviously kind of in a rebuild situation. I mean, they got Teddy Two Gloves, They announced him as their starter, but I think they're no more than a 6-win team at the very best. So I mean, Kansas City's gonna win that division. I think it's safe to say, but watch out for the Chargers. Watch out for the Chargers to maybe fight for one of those wild card spots.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you. I mean, we can kind of pivot. What do you feel? What's your take on Gruden? You know, because he was supposed to be the savior. We just said, can we call the Raiders Raiders? He was supposed to be the savior of the Raiders, and they gave him this crazy contract. They've done nothing. Like what?
John Gruden to me has always been overrated.
Yeah.
I think when you look back at the pinnacle of his career was when he won that Super Bowl with Tampa Bay.
The team that was built by
Tony Dungy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We agree on that.
Right on track.
He got the credit.
He got the credit,
but
he got the credit.
It was already there for him.
And to me, I'm gonna say to not switch gears, but that was to me similar to kind of how Steve Kerr won. That was Mark Jackson's team.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But those guys get those credit, and no disrespect to any of those guys. Yeah. But John Gruden to me has been overrated. I think he, is a great TV person as far as he knows the game. But I think kind of like it was assumed that when he took over with the Raiders that they were gonna go back to their glory days, which weren't their glory days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, the Raiders had
70s.
Yes. You just win, baby. So no, I don't think that John Gruden is their savior. I think that that's a hope that those fans have, but I'm not as big on Chucky, as they call him, as most people are.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. All right, so you want to talk about who we think is coming out of the AFC, or you want to shoot to the NFC first, or
let's switch gears and shoot to the NFC, and then we can pick our conference winners.
Okay, all right. So NFC East, this is always an interesting division to me. I grew up as a Washington fan. I kind of left them a little while ago. But, the division changes from worst to first. Like you never know who's gonna do what in this division. Mm-hmm. So it's always difficult to be able to project who's gonna come out of there. But I'm gonna I grew up as a Washington fan, so I'll say I'm gonna be a homer in that way, in that regard, because I feel like with their defense, and hopefully Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't, feel overwhelmed and have pressure, because you know what happens when the expectations are high for him. He tends to kind of fold under the pressure. Yeah. So I'm hoping that this is the year that he doesn't do that, and they're not asking him to go out and win games per se, because I think that their skill positions on offense are pretty good too. Like, he has some players there, and then their defense is top tier. Dallas, they have Dak. We'll see how Dak's shoulders and how things happen with Dallas. The Giants, we have Daniel Jones. I'm not really sold on Daniel Jones. I think the Giants will probably be last in the division.
Okay.
And then the Jalen Hurts with the Eagles is interesting. I don't really know what to expect from him. Mm-hmm. He has flashes, but he's an athlete.
Yeah.
But whether or not that's going to transition to wins, I think last year when he started, I think he won his first game, maybe his first two, but then it kind of fizzled out a little bit. Mm-hmm. He had some good stats, but they weren't winning. Yeah. So in the East again, so I think that the Washington football team will win that division, followed up by the Cowboys.
Okay. I don't know. I agree with you as far as everything you said in terms of not knowing the NFC East. To their credit, they've had a couple Super Bowls throughout the last decade. The Giants won one, Eagles won one. At its best, this division has a lot of fans, but not a lot of great teams, man. You look at Washington. I think their front seven is as good as anybody's in the conference at least. But again, the inconsistencies. The quarterback, don't really know if you're sold on them actually being a real playoff contender. Somebody has to win the division. Mm-hmm. That much we know. You look at Dallas, Dak coming back from a gruesome ankle injury, from last year. See how he bounces back, and You know, I feel like the Cowboys are the Cowboys. Like they also create a lot of buzz, and every year is their year. But you know, who knows with the Cowboys? You know, they haven't been winning. Then, like you said, the Eagles' young quarterback. You know, see how he does, and you know, the Giants, Saquon coming back from a major injury as well. I think is the motor that runs that offense for sure. Like he's a home run waiting to happen. But if I had to pick a winner, I mean, I'm going to go off of projection and that Dak will come back and, you know, be good because I think he's a good quarterback. I think, you know, that the offensive line has to get back to dominating like they did a couple years ago. But if they can kind of get back to their grassroots of winning up front, then I would probably say the best of the worst will be the Cowboys. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys to come out of that division for this year.
Okay. So I agree with you when so to me, the Cowboys offense, you know, like with most teams, is one in the trenches with that line that they had.
Yeah.
So when they had the best line of football, Zeke was eating. Like Zeke was dominating, and with that allowed Dak to, you know, do well. That hasn't been the case in the last couple of years, you know. So we don't know what version of Zeke we're gonna see.
Yeah.
And I'm a person that I've seen Dak put up numbers, but they're empty numbers. Like I feel like their teams are down and he's throwing for 400, 500 yards, but it's empty calories, you know. So we gotta see. We gotta see whether or not Dak deserves that $75 million. I think he's making this year.
He deserves it.
He deserves it based off of. I guess
he's a top 10 quarterback. He deserves it.
Okay.
He deserves it. I mean, when you look at
is he gonna take your team? Is he gonna take your team to the Super Bowl? Is that like?
That's not what they paid him for.
No, I know. Yeah, based off of
you pay based off of value. So at that position, the value suggests that he's a top 10 quarterback, top 15 quarterback. I mean, and how many guys in the top 10 or 15 who get paid that you really look at in the offseason and say, yeah, he's a guy that can take. I mean, look at Matt Ryan. He went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan. I mean, and the list goes on. Like I can go through probably 10 or 12 quarterbacks that you say are getting paid. I mean, I got a guy in San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo, who got paid very well. So it's based on the value at the position.
No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, so it's based off of it was his turn.
Yeah,
you know, his turn. So I'm 100% with you on should he have gotten the money? It's his turn. But to me, does that mean that he's a quarterback that's going to help you win Super Bowl? I don't know if
I can agree.
Like, so if I took Aaron Rodgers and put him into Dallas, I think they're prohibitive favorites to come out. Like I think
you take Aaron Rodgers and put him anywhere.
Yeah. So to me, there's justification in paying him whatever.
No, I agree.
You know, you got to pay him, but you know. So, I think we'll go with. I said Washington. You said Dallas.
As much as it pains me, I'm gonna say, like I said, the best of the worst.
Okay, so all right, so now we're gonna jump to the NFC North. Who do you have coming out of the NFC North?
We just talked about Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man. Aaron Rodgers is. I'm glad they were able to work the situation out. They need to pay Devontae Adams because he's a top tier receiver in the league. The Packers are going to win that division. I don't think it would be close. I think that you got the Bears who are up and coming. Interested and excited to see Justin Fields play at some point. I think he'll play sooner than later. Hopefully sooner than later. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins is a game manager. And I just don't think that they have enough on either end of their. I mean, Dalvin Cook, I think is a guy, if he can stay healthy, that could help out with that offense. But and then Detroit with Jared Goff. I don't really see them doing a whole lot, so I'm going with Green Bay as the division winners.
I mean, I can just echo everything you said. I look at a couple of divisions, a couple of teams that, regardless of what division is kind of like a foregone conclusion. So I feel like Green Bay coming out of NFC North. Keep an eye on Justin Fields just because we want to see his development and growth. But outside of that, Detroit and Minnesota, they don't really make no noise. So we'll go with Green Bay. NFC South, to me, it's the same thing. We have Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Brady and the crew are back. They re-signed everybody. It's a foregone conclusion. New Orleans is starting a new era with Jameis, so we'll see how that goes.
Jameis.
Same thing with Carolina and Atlanta. Tampa Bay. There's not even much to say about that division.
Tampa Bay, I definitely think are the favorites. I'm always interested to see how Tom continues to elevate his play. Because he isn't showing any signs of slowing down to me. Like, I look at him and I see on paper how old he is, but then like you watch him toward the tail end of last year, it's like you continuously see a guy who's like getting better or just up to par with where he needs to be. So I agree, fully that Tampa Bay will win that division. And furthermore, just interested to see how Tom continues to defy all the odds of Father Time and win. But you would think that at some point, because Father Time's undefeated, it might be prolonged, but at some point, Father Time has to come to play. And they're adding an extra game this year, so who knows? But Tampa Bay for that division.
I just think Brady's unique in the fact that even since he was drafted, Brady wins with his mind.
Yeah,
like Brady, he out prepares everybody. Like, he knows where your defense is supposed to be and what they're supposed to do better than you do.
Right.
So when you have that advantage, as long as he's able to throw the ball to the spot that he's trying to get the ball to, then I think that he's always going to succeed. And we talked about to start the show, we talked about like leadership, and like those intangibles. And I feel like Brady is a person that brings the best out of everybody else on both sides of the ball. So if you have that leader that you feel like can bring you to the promised land, and if you do your job, it just similar to LeBron.
Yeah.
Give your guy some credit. I just think the Brady effect is he gets the best out of everybody because of how much they believe in him, and I think that they know how prepared he is. Each week. So it's not even a competition for that division. So all right. Now I'll let you.
You let
talk
me
about
do
your NFC West, because
it's so much to talk to. We could do a separate segment, man. The NFC West, it's no secret. I don't think many people would disagree that it's the best the best division in football. Mm-hmm. When you look at the 4 teams in this division, I think that it'd be to nobody's surprise if any of these 4 teams were to make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs. Start with Arizona. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray in Arizona, they're transcending. Their coach has created a high power offense in Arizona, and they've got some veterans who can play ball. Mm-hmm. I think when you look at Arizona, though, you always question. I question like their secondary. Like, is their secondary good enough to maybe compete with some of the upper echelon teams like the Packers or the Buccaneers in those divisions, because they can score points and they can score points fast. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Arizona make a push for the division or in the playoffs if they were to make it. And then you transition to like Seattle. Russell Wilson, man. I think top 5 quarterback. Top 5 competitor in the NFL. Since Russ came into the league, it's almost like he always plays with a chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. There was some rumblings this offseason that he was unhappy with the direction that some of the Seahawks, upper management and personnel were going, and like wanted more say in like the decisions. And I think it just speaks to how he's kind of transitioned from being just a football player in terms of like playing the game, and like now being a leader. Mm-hmm. Not even on the field and off the field, as far as like, okay, this is my team, like I want some say so with the decision. That's kind of how we saw in Green Bay as well. Mm-hmm. You look at the Rams, good buddy of mine is a diehard Rams fan, so I don't want to give him too much credit. But the Rams do have some superstars on defense. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, 2 of the best at their positions. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Matthew Stafford comes in, and I think a lot of pressure is going to be on Matthew Stafford because he's never been to the playoffs, I don't think, and then let alone won anything big. So like they felt like they were upgrading that position when they traded for Matt Stafford and let go of Jared Goff. So I think it's going to be a situation where, like, if they can win, it'll be like, told you so. But if they can't, then it's going to kind of be like, okay, well, what's the problem? Is it the coach, is the quarterback, whoever? So the Rams are always interesting, but I don't think that they'll win the division. I think they could make a battle for one of those wild card positions if they can stay healthy. And then there was one. San Francisco, man.
Quarterback controversy. No, I'm sorry. Got it.
Cool. So, obviously, excuses, all excuses. Injuries played a part in our downfall last year compared to the previous year. We went to the Super Bowl and should have won the Super Bowl. We had the most injuries in the NFL last year. That's a fact. A lot of star power went down early on, which definitely dampened our season and our hopes of trying to go back to the Super Bowl and repeat as conference champs. So now most of those guys are healthy. Nick Bosa's coming back. Dee Ford, who a lot of people forgot about, is healthy and has looked good in practice and training camp. The quarterback situation will be fascinating. From what I'm hearing, they're gonna run a dual quarterback system in San Francisco, and I think that's like the best thing ever because I think Jimmy has some talent.
Oh no, isn't there a saying if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks? But go ahead.
It could be a saying, but I say if you got two quarterbacks, you got double the chance of being good. I think in the way that Kyle's going to use them, the two quarterback system, I believe, can work, and people will see it work. I mean, we kind of saw it like in New Orleans when Drew Brees played, like they used Taysom Hill in certain packages, to keep the defense honest in the red zone, and he was productive. Not to compare Taysom Hill and Trey Lance, I think Trey Lance is a far superior quarterback, but two quarterback systems isn't something that's been new. Like we've seen this before in the NFL. And I think the way they're going to use it, they're obviously trying to slowly bring on Trey Lance. I mean, I think he's young. He's 20. I think he just turned 20 years old, 21 years old. So he needs some seasoning. And what better way to do it than to make him a situational, player for that team. So I'm obviously picking the 49ers to not only win the division, but to win the conference. Yes, I'm saying it as a fan, as a believer. The 49ers will
win what conference? The NFC conference?
Yeah, they will win the conference, but they will win the division, and then we'll win the conference if we stay healthy. I don't think there's a more complete team in the NFL, not even Tampa Bay, than us when we're at our peak and when we are healthy. So I'm saying it. You can go ahead and debate it. You can go ahead and give your perspective, but the 49ers will be back in the Super Bowl next year.
Okay.
Heard it here.
So, all right, let's just talk about the West, brother. That's first of all, we got to slow down.
Okay.
If we're talking about Super Bowl picks, that might be a stretch. But the West, possible. Let me ask you this. We talked about the dual quarterback. How long do you think they're going to do that? Do you think that that's going to be for the duration of the season, or do you think that that's
it could
just...
be.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that it's the way that they're going to transition Trey in to take over the team. Which I was joking about saying when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Comparing it to what New Orleans did with Brees and Taysom, I think is crazy because Taysom it was never really going to be transitioned to him taking over. I just think that they just, like you said, they did that to kind of
utilize his skills.
to kind of make the defense have to worry about something extra. Where I think here is San Francisco clearly knows Garoppolo is not the guy that's going to lead them to the Super Bowl, and I think that they want to transition Trey in, the best way possible, and I think that that's what's going to happen. So I don't know exactly when everything is going to get turned over to Trey, but I think that that's eventually going to happen, and I would agree with that. Like I think that he has major upside, and at the end of the day, if San Francisco is going to start to win some Super Bowls in the next couple of years, they're not winning this year. In the next couple of years, Trey would have to be under center. So I agree. I think San Francisco has a great chance in winning NFC West, but you never can count out Seattle and Russell Wilson. And then, like you said, the Rams. So everybody, but I think that I actually think that I think it's gonna be Seattle.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Seattle. So all right. So who do you have winning it all?
Well, I've said the NFC. I think the AFC will be the Tennessee Titans. I'm picking the Titans to come out of the AFC. I think it's going to be a Titans 49ers Super Bowl. And, of course, you know who I'm rocking with.
49ers.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm more realistic. So I feel like it's going to be a rematch from last year.
Okay.
You know, I think that Tom Brady is Tom Brady. And I think that Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. So I think that I would not be disappointed either way if Tom Brady repeats and solidifies himself as the GOAT, or if we look at this year's Super Bowl as a changing of the guards.
Okay.
But my hope is that Tampa Bay wins it again. But I would not be surprised if the Chiefs and Mahomes, who will be coming out of the AFC, if they were to win. So.
All right. Well, interesting, fascinating enough. But it's back. Football is back, and we are and will be tuned in Thursday night for that first game of the season. All right. Well, that concludes our episode for today, folks. You can stream us on all major platforms. Subscribe, like, share. We're on Apple Podcasts, Apple Music Podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify, and of course on YouTube, Instagram. So share us, like us, get the word out. Wraps up another episode. See you guys next week. Peace.
Appreciate all the support. Peace.